Welcome back to this special edition of Jersey Matters. I'm Larry Menti. We're focusing on the 2015 elections in New Jersey, and I'd like to introduce you to Lorna Phillpson, who is running in the 30th Assembly District, which is Monmouth County, a little bit of Ocean County. And the way it works, you're running with someone else. You're a Democrat, you're running with somebody else. You're running against two Republican incumbents.
That is correct.
One of the reasons we wanted to talk to you and that we have interest in talking to you is because not a lot of people know even that there's an election on Tuesday. And it's fascinating that there's a lot of people across the state that are running against incumbents, and when there's not interest in an election, it's much more difficult for somebody who's not serving, who's not an incumbent, to win. I would imagine you're running up against this.
This is true. We have two incumbents who've been in there for a long time. They're pretty well liked, even though they have been tied with Christie, and a lot of the people I've spoken to are not thrilled with Christie and his policies. But as incumbents, they don't feel they have to go out. They don't feel they really have to make an effort to talk to people or see people, and it will hurt us if we cannot get our base out. We are working hard, going door to door, the old style of campaigning, canvassing, door to door, and meeting with people and talking about what we think we can do in Trenton to counter what's been happening in the past and hopefully move things forward, particularly in regard to taxes. But
well, wait, let's talk about taxes for a second.
Yes.
Because Republicans will say Democrats are the problem in taxes. And Democrats have been running the Assembly, they've been running the Senate, and they've done nothing about taxes. We just had the minority leader in here a moment ago, and he said it's completely the Democrats' fault. It's in their DNA. And it's time for them to get out and let us try to take over and cut taxes.
Well, the Republicans have been there. I haven't seen them do a lot about cutting taxes, particularly property taxes. The Asbury Park Press has been pushing for weeks now for everybody to sign, and pretty much everybody I've spoken with, including the Democrats, have signed it in Monmouth County, because we also believe that the property taxes are ridiculously high. The one dilemma that the press has come up with is they think 10% is going to be enough, but in my experience, I have found that financially, people tend to adjust house prices upward. So a 10% drop in your property tax will probably have a corresponding rise in your house price, which means your assessment will get you right back to where you were anyway. So if you really want to make a difference, you're going to have to make an even larger cut.
Okay, and you know what? It's far and away the number one issue. Taxes, you have to agree, right?
Yes.
Taxes far and away the number one issue. Everybody complains about the taxes in the state.
True.
And yet they don't want to take part in an election.
No, we cannot get people out to vote. And I don't understand this, because so much of what happens locally and in your county and in your state is considerably more than what happens in Congress. And they're all worried about the presidential election next year and what Congress will do, when they really should be more concerned about what is happening in their own town, in their own county, and in their own state house.
Do they feel like there's nothing they can do or nothing you can do? Have they given up on the process?
I just don't think they understand what happens. I don't think they're familiar with what is really happening in Trenton or even in their own towns. They're pretty disengaged with politics in general. In this particular year especially, since we are, as the Assembly, as you said, at the top of the ticket, getting people out will be the hardcore voters who have been interested and who probably vote in every election. So we've been trying to energize the people who vote maybe 2 out of every 4, or at least 3 out of every 4. And we've also been working on the independents. My particular county has a huge number of independents. And that surprisingly disturbs me, because I don't care if you're a Democrat or a Republican, you can't vote in your primary. So if you're worried, even if you're just worried about next year's election, you can't vote in the primary. You can't choose who you want for your Democratic candidate. You can't choose who you want for the Republican candidate unless you designate a particular party. But for me, this election is an unknown. It could be anybody. I mean, everybody says the Republicans have the opportunity to sweep through and win the state back. But
who says that?
I
haven't heard
you
that.
haven't heard that? The Republicans are saying that, I think. The Republicans mostly are saying that.
I heard there's like maybe 4 or 5 contested races, and they would need to win at least 8.
Putting huge bucks on both sides. They're putting a lot of money into those.
Oh, that's interesting.
Particularly down in the Atlantic City area, because obviously they have some key issues, and a couple up north. Monmouth County, we had one district, the 11th district, which they felt certain they could take over from the Republican incumbents. They're getting a lot of attention. But you don't see a lot from the media either.
Oh, I know. No, it's everybody's fault in trying to get the word out, you know, and that's why we're doing this show, and that's why we invited you in. Thank you very much.
I appreciate it.
I really appreciate you coming in. It was fascinating to talk to you. Good luck in the election.
You. I need it.
Lorna Phillpson, who's running in the 30th Assembly District. We talked a lot about the voters not being interested in the election. There are actually numbers that back that up with the Rutgers-Eagleton poll. We'll talk to a representative from that poll when we come right back.